do the reset 3D arrangement because sometimes the arrangement selection points are built into that.
So
Yeah,
there's
it's
a
doing this.
difference. Okay, I see. There's a difference if it's flat or wrapped around.
Yeah.
Bit,
So when
bit,
we open the
yeah.
file, actually, and I can show you what that kind of looks like already with this file. So I'm going to drop it back onto the floor for a second. So when we want to start dressing our avatar in our pattern pieces, we need to bring in something called arrangement points, which are these blue dots that are situated around our avatar. They indicate the bounding volumes that are wrapped around our avatar because avatars are built with cylinders. The arms are made of cylinders. And if you hover around them, you can see the kind of cylinder that it's occupying when I kind of just hover my mouse over one of those blue dots. So every part of the body has been given an arrangement point. So when they dressed this avatar with this scarf, they selected the pattern piece. They went to the back neck and they selected that back neck arrangement point and they dressed the avatar with the scarf. The reason why they chose the back neck is because when you're selecting your arrangement point, that's where the center of the 2D pattern lays. So if I wanted it to be draped over the back of her shoulders, so the opening of the scarf, I would choose the arrangement point from the front of the avatar. To get these arrangement points up, you can press Shift and F. F for Freddy. Shift F. They bring them up and they take them away. They are also in your avatar display in your 3D window, and they are just here. Might look slightly different to mine, but they are in the avatar display in your toggle menu in the 3D window. Show arrangement points, and it tells you also the shortcut for these. So I would suggest either reset the 2D arrangement, although it's just going to bring it up straight in front of the avatar. Place it back like this and then just help it out because the volume of it was a little bit bigger how they placed it. So you need to use your cursor to just bring it down slightly. Just help that one out because it's sticking to the other side of the scarf, and then you've got it mannequin again. How are we doing with this exercise? I'm just going to stop sharing for 1 second. Anyone struggling? Are people feeling good? Any questions? Yeah, I see a thumbs up from Katharina. Thank you. How are the rest of you getting on? Good? You need some more time with this? Danius, you're good. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. And if we're feeling good, then we can open up. Let's open up the navigation project. So at the top, it's the one with the t-shirts. And I'm going to show you a little bit more how the arrangement points work when we're working with garments. So I'm going to go back to my library, open with the Y shortcuts. And in the same folder, I'm going to double click the navigation project file. And again, you shouldn't need to change anything in the loading box. Just press OK. And we have a different project. So it's in the same folder. We've just opened up navigation. And this is the one that the Udemy course gives you in one of the first projects. If you've already done it, you will have it already, and you might have opened it and had a look. And they're concentrating on looking at it in terms of the avatar and also the pattern pieces and also particle distance they go into, which we can have a look at as well. And if anyone has any particular questions about something, you can either let me know or put it into the chat and I can cover it whilst we're in any one of these project files. So I want to go over quickly the particle distance, and we'll talk about that as we go through the projects and as we go through the different training sessions, because it will become more apparent where you need to change your particle distance and why. But if we, once we have this project open in the toggle menu, and the toggle menu is the tools that are sat inside the 3D window. So these here, we refer to that as the toggle menu because they're not in the toolbar in the 3D window. And these are your main display functions. So in here, you have options to show specific things on the garment. So show the garment, we can show the archive pattern, the seam lines, we can show internal lines, we can show baselines. And you see now how I see my blue baselines that correspond from my 2D patterns in the 3D window. Some people like to see these, or they're useful as you're working to see these internal lines and baselines. Sometimes you don't want to see them because it's ruining your view of the garment. So you've got an option to switch them on or off. You can show the 3D pen if that's been used in a garment. You can show your threads, your pins, your garment measurements, and 2D measurements. It's really up to you whether you have these on or off, but sometimes I've had in the past with students, things are not showing up, or there's these weird red lines on my garment and it's not on there for you. It's most likely in this garment display option, they've got the internal lines on and I don't, or vice versa. So a lot of the things that come up will be very simple things, and they can be found in the things in the garment display or in different menus in the toggle menu. So you also have trim display. And again, this might look different depending on what version you're working on, depending on what kind of computer you're working on. I'm used to working on Clo3D on a MacBook. And I've only just switched to a PC, so this some of the viewpoints are new for me as well. So I know that this looks different to when you're working on a MacBook. It depends what version of Clo you're working on and if you update it regularly. So sometimes the views look slightly different. Everything is still the same for everyone. So you also have an avatar display. You can show or hide your avatar, and the shortcut for those are displayed next to them as well. So you can actually just hide your avatar altogether and only view your garment in the 3D space. Sometimes you need to kind of get inside the kind of sleeve or the hem of a garment, and you need to have a look inside because you might be folding a trim and you need to see what that looks like. So that's kind of useful to have. But generally, we want to see the avatar. We have the arrangement points, which is where we start to arrange our pattern pieces on our avatar. We show the bounding volumes. We don't really use this that much. It's not really something that I think you're going to be using that often. I never use it, but you can show them if you need to. You can show or hide the joints of the avatar. And in the Udemy course, they go over moving the avatar joints on here and how that works. So that's where you will find the avatar joints, and you can show the avatar measurements and the 3D pen. But I'm going to keep those hidden. I don't need to see the joints of the avatar for now. I just want to run through the options that we have. When it comes to the garment rendering style, when you're working in a garment, it's recommended to always have thick textured surface selected. So there's two options that look very similar to each other. And again, a problem that I've run into a lot with students is that they can't see the thickness of their fabric when they start to adjust it. And it's most likely that they have the textured surface selected and not textured surface. This allows you to see the proper thickness of your fabrics. And as we get more in detail, we're going to add more thicknesses and we're going to create thick textured surfaces to our fabrics. And you want to be able to see those in the 3D window, especially when you're making things like trims, cords for hoodies, for example. You need to see how thick you've made those in your property editor, and you want to see how that looks on your garment. So it's really important that you have thick textured surface on when you're working in garments. You can see a monochrome surface, but I mean, I never use this. I would always recommend working in thick textured surface. But you've got different rendering styles that you can view for whatever reason you might need. You've got translucent surface, so if you need to see through the garment and through to the body, you can see through it with that option. We're going to have a look now at the mesh. So let's select the mesh from the garment rendering style. And now our t-shirt turns into the mesh. And this is what the computer builds our fabric as. And you see there's these triangles that make up our fabric. And at the minute, they're quite big. And it's the default that Clo gives us for our garments. So if I select one of my pattern pieces, and I can either do this in the 2D or the 3D pattern window. To deselect, just click anywhere in any gray space, either in the 3D or